As a sociology professor, one of my research topics is on tourism and on digital nomads. I wrote a book and published quite a few articles on the subculture of digital nomadism. On my last sabbatical, I was able to travel to Europe and meet and interview a lot of digital nomads, and that was in 2017. And so now I'm on my next sabbatical and I'm continuing my research into tourism studies, and I'm currently traveling through Southeast Asia. So in this video, what I wanted to talk about is the academic field of critical tourism studies and trying to take that out of the academic context, because if you Google critical tourism studies, you're just going to find academic articles and academic videos, even from maybe 10 years ago. And so how can we take this academic concept of critical tourism studies and apply it to folks who are traveling? And so I am currently traveling in Southeast Asia, and as a sociologist, I can't help but see everything from a critical, theoretical, sociological perspective. I was just in Bangkok and Thailand, and I'm currently in Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur. And so, for example, in Thailand, approximately 20% of the national government is dependent on the tourism industry, and that's just such a huge figure for a country. So in these forthcoming videos that I'm going to be doing about my travels in Southeast Asia, there's going to be videos that are overviewing books about the places that I travel. How can we take this academic concept of critical tourism studies and actually apply it to our daily perspective as travelers, and especially in video content? So as you can see, a lot of people that are traveling in Southeast Asia are just posting videos about what tourist sites they saw, what food they ate, how cheap it was, what they consumed, but they're not really talking about the history of the country, the culture. They're not learning the language and stuff like that. So one of the first steps for me with the perspective of critical tourism studies is that, first of all, I want to learn about the places I'm traveling to. And so I did try to read at least a book about the history and sociological context of every country. I mean, the first thing you can do is just read the wiki page about that country to understand its history, its political, economic, social context. In my research and writing on digital nomads, I came from a critical perspective, and one of the biggest points of critique that I had of this lifestyle is that they didn't really get to know the places that they traveled to. They might even spend a year in a location or many months or travel back to that place, but they didn't put any attempt to learn the language and to really connect with the people of that place. It was just an exotic background, and the most important thing that they focused on was consumption. So in the videos that I make about my travels in Southeast Asia, I just want to have a bit more of a critical perspective of understanding the socio-economic, political context in which I'm traveling, try to get to know and talk to local people, and just put some effort into my education on the location. And then also, of course, as a sociologist, we always want to understand the power and the power imbalance of what's leading a place. And so with Thailand being so heavily dependent on tourism as a significant portion of their economic income as a nation, we can see that the power is really imbalanced in favor of attracting tourists. And they do attract so many tourists every year to the location. And so the purpose of this video is just to really introduce this concept of critical tourism studies, but yet try to take it out of its academic context and apply it to actual videos about travel, and that try to go beyond just the consumer practices that travelers engage in. And so this is just a bit of an introductory video about the videos that will be forthcoming about my travels to Southeast Asia, which include Thailand, Malaysia, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam.